Hello viewers and welcome back to the Elite Karting Series. We are here in Kent, England, Buckmore Park, one of the most historic circuits in the country for the first time since December 2022. 3 splits of racing ahead of us, starting with split 3, and the grid is a little bit jumbled up. Promotion into split 2 is what is at stake here for the winner of this race, and Matthew Putland, who starts on pole position, will be hoping that he can gain that 50.7, his best lap time. Lewis Jolley joining him on row 1. All these drivers a little bit out of position because of a spin on the qualifying lap, which caused a few drivers to have difficulty in their laps. Miles Harding and Ross Sandwell are on row 2 with Barney Williams and Henry Ralter row 3. Despite all the issues, only 0.8 of a second separating the entirety pretty much of our top 6. Kieran Hyde Moody and Aidan Weller are the rest of your top 8, with Andy Laister and Brad Whitehouse your top 10. Ryan Prattley and Adam Thompson start on row 6. 2 drivers will be hoping to make their way through the field somewhat in this race. Chrissy Harding is on row 7 alongside debutant to the series Raj Kumar, who has got plenty of experience racing here at Buckmore Park. Billy Good is on 15th position with Troy Fraser McGonigal in 16th. It is Hugh Morrison and Chris O'Connell, the rest of our grid. So we're ready to get underway for our first main series EKS back at Buckmore Park, where it all started in December 2022. This should be a really exciting one. We've got Matt Putland on pole position for split 3, race 1, with Lewis Jolley alongside him as they make their way down into turn 1. We've had the call, we're ready for the lights, and it's lights out and away we go. And a good start for Matt Putland as he makes his way into turn 1, clear of Lewis Jolley, who slots in just behind. Miles Harding overtaken by Ross Sandwell down into turn 1 and making their way into hairpin 1. Looks like Matt Putland has a couple of kart lengths just in hand, but he's going to be under pressure here from Lewis Jolley into hairpin 2. Gains a little bit on the exit of hairpin 1. Everyone's sort of slotting in just behind throughout the rest of the field. Chris O'Connell has got a bit of a battle just in front of him. Ryan Prattley under a little bit of pressure on the outside line, and Ryan Prattley actually going to lose a position here to Raj Kumar as he makes his way down the hill. The field make their way down the hill for the first time. Raj Kumar back down the inside line, a little bit of contact with Adam Thompson, I believe that was. He fires himself off the circuit on the left hand side with 3 wide for a moment as well into the back end of this first lap. It's very interesting racing at the start of this one, Luke.
Yeah, it was a bit of a feisty opening lap, but yeah, I think ended up all being okay in the end. Raj Kumar a bit of contact there. I think may get a contact warning for that going into paddock bend. He's now on board with Ryan Prattley. He's going around the outside, pretty good. He's now got Chris O'Connell up his inside, heading now down to hairpin 1. You can see from the reverse camera, you've got Chrissy Harding now also up the inside of Ryan Prattley. She's managed to make his way past, and she's managing to make her way past Chris O'Connell, I believe that is. She just tucks in behind now Chris as they now file their way through the S's. You can see from the static camera all 18 karts filing through the S's. This Lewis Jolley, meanwhile, he's managed to make his way into the lead of the race. You can see from the drone footage here, Lewis Jolley ahead of Matt Putland now, with Ross Sandwell right behind. As we now you can see in the bottom of the shot, I think it's Brad Whitehouse there heading up the inside of one of the drivers as they make their way through Garda. Now heading up the hill, I believe it was potentially Miles Harding or Aidan Weller who he was battling with. Now make their way up the hill. We've got Ryan Prattley on the back of Chris O'Connell.
It's Lewis Jolley from Matt Putland, Ross Sandwell, Barney Williams and Miles Harding, your top 5 in this race at the moment. Chris O'Connell has got a couple of drivers just ahead of him. He's going to try and make his way up a position. Chrissy Harding is the first of them. Chrissy now on the outside line. She's trying to gain a position on Billy Good as they make their way in to hairpin 2. Chris looking to cross the lines over, can't quite get the exit there, and shakes his head as well. He knows that was an opportunity. Chrissy Harding now on the inside of Billy Good, can't make her way through into the S's. Instead they'll have to hit the brakes hard, and Chris O'Connell hits the brakes the hardest of all of them, and Chrissy Harding has a spin on the left hand side. That's a bit frustrating for Chris O'Connell. I think Chrissy's coming back at him though, and well, Chrissy Harding a little bit of drama at the first stage of this race. Meanwhile, on board with Miles Harding, he's been overtaken now by Kieran Hyde.
As Dean is now heading up the inside. You can see in the bottom of the shot there, it's Henry Walton then heading up the inside into turn and 1 up the inside of Miles Harding. So he is now at the inside going for a hairpin 1 as well, and he has managed to make his way through. He's now running ball with Adam Thompson. You can see Rajkula, the girlfriend of Henry Walter, she's managed to make her way up the inside of Andy Lacey. Now back on board with Miles Harding. I think both of them just managed to squeeze their way past Kieran Hyde Moody, as we now got Brad Whitehouse coming into shot. We've also got Aidan Weller coming through shot, still filing through shot here up the inside of Miles Harding. Now, as you can see, going at the inside now, Ross Sandwell into Garda. Good move there by Ross into second position, but now that Lewis Jolley has managed to hold it around the outside, and he has held on to second. So whilst we weren't looking there, Matt Putland managed to make his way back into the lead of the race. So it's now Matt Putland back in the lead ahead of Lewis Jolley with Ross Sandwell. And these three, you can see from the drone shot here, they've broken away from the pack behind. We've got Barney Williams currently in fourth ahead of Kieran Hyde Moody. Then we've got Brad Whitehouse with the whole pack of carts right behind.
Miles Harding then overtaking Chris O'Connell, looking to the inside line. He's going to find himself up position. So with 8 minutes to go in this race, Chris O'Connell gains a spot on the number 12 cart of Billy Good. Miles Harding now overtaken by the number 11 of Henry Walter. Brad Whitehouse also making his way through. So Miles Harding tumbling down the order a little bit. He was out of position slightly in qualifying, and that's no disrespect to Miles, who is a very competent driver in his own right, but he was higher up the grid than he would have expected, and I think now that's starting to show a little bit with him losing a couple of positions. Hopefully he can get his head down here and start to chase after as we approach half distance in this race. So your order, as I mentioned, is Matt Putland. Actually, Matt Putland back to the lead of the race ahead of Ross Sandwell. Lewis Jolley has fallen down to third at this point in the race, and there's a battle for second going on as well, as I believe that's Ross Sandwell back into second position ahead of Lewis Jolley, literally as they came to the sector 2 timing line there, Luke.
Yeah, it was. That was a really good move there by Ross on Lewis, I think on the previous lap, and then they were battling, as you saw, going through the hairpins there. You can see it from the drone up above, so that's a good battle there, as Ross now back up into second position against Lewis, who's a very experienced karter himself. Now Chris O'Connell's up the inside of his friend Andy Lacey going into paddock, but Andy manages to hold it around the outside. Now Chris up the inside going to Garda. He's going to take all the curb on the inside of Garda as he holds it on the inside, but Andy manages to keep a hold of that position, so those two battling out for 12th place in the field as they come up to start finish. And you can just see there Barney Williams heading into turn 1 with Kieran Hyde Moody on his outside, as we see the carts now filing their way through Conway's and Henry's Bend. You can see in the bottom shot Ross Sandwell, he's still ahead of Lewis Jolley as Barney goes defensive there on Kieran Hyde Moody, going into hairpin 2, manages to hold on to 4th place for the time being as Kieran's now filing his way through the S's, and Barney's just managed to hold on as we see the carts going through shot here, heading through the second part of the S's, now riding on board with Ryan Prattley. He's got Chris O'Connell right in front of him. Now you can see as we cut to the static camera at Garda, you can see Barney Williams, he's holding on to that 4th place, but he's now got a right train of carts behind him, queuing up to make their way past him. We just saw a cart there looking up the inside, going in to Garda. I believe that was Chris O'Connell up the inside of Andy Lacey there. I think the carts make their way back up the hill and up to the start finish line.
So many guards and they're all in the trade. Ryan Prattley is moving around trying to find his way past Chris O'Connell, getting past Andy Lacey down into hairpin 1. That was a very tidy move made, and now he makes a little bit of contact with Adam Thompson, lets him back through, so Adam Thompson is there, but Andy Lacey decides to seize the opportunity, go down the inside, so does Ryan Prattley, and both of them making their way through. Ryan Prattley now past Andy Lacey, Chris O'Connell back to the outside line of Andy Lacey. This is only from about 11th position at the moment in this race, so Chris O'Connell to the outside line through the S's will keep himself ahead of Andy Lacey. That was an incredible piece of racing. Andy Lacey deciding to seize the opportunity. Adam Thompson goes through, he gets off scot-free. 5 minutes to go in this race, and the field is all jumbled up.
As you just saw there as well, Barney Williams is going really defensive going into Garda against Kieran Hyde Moody, but I believe Kieran has managed to make his way past. If you can see on the live timing there, Kieran, he was just ahead by 0.1 seconds going across the start finish line. So Kieran now is up into 4th place. Barney doing a really good job here at racing at Buckmore. I believe for only the first or second time. He's doing a good job here running up in 4th place. He's a heavyweight driver too, so he's got a weight disadvantage compared to most of the drivers on this grid. As we can see, Lewis Jolley now, he's managed to make his way past on the previous lap on Ross Sandwell out of shot. You just saw them going through shot, going down the bottom of the hill here So Ross now down to third place as we see the drivers filing their way through. So I believe that is Barney Williams, who's lost a few places there. He's now got a cart going up to the side. I believe that is Raj Gula. It is indeed. So Barney's just dropping down the order here. I think his weight is costing him a little bit in a straight line, as Brad Whitehouse and Aidan Weller both managed to make their way past. Shout out to Aidan Weller, by the way. He's a heavyweight himself. He's 110 kilos, so he's doing a fantastic job here at Buckmore. I believe this is only his kind of third or fourth visit, maybe. I think he did the 24 hour actually last weekend, but he's not a regular here at Buckmore, so he's doing a very good job too. As we're now riding on board with Ryan Pratley, he just had to go to the outside there to avoid Adam Thompson. Chris Connell's managed to make his way past. Now got Adam Thompson also on the outside going through hairpin 2. Looks like Adam though has now tucked in behind Miles Harding, who is sort of sinking down the field a little bit here. But yeah, good battle here for, I believe this is 10th position.
I don't think Miles will feel too bad as it goes Chris O'Connell down the inside line of Adam Thompson, makes his way through and now can set his sights on Miles Harding as Adam Thompson does get overtaken by Ryan Pratley on this lap. There's only 0.2 of a second actually at the lead of the race. Matthew Putland, best lap time 49.8. He's just about ahead of Lewis Jolley at the moment. The two of them having a fantastic battle. Unfortunately, we don't have an on board of either of them as Ryan Pratley goes down the inside of Chris O'Connell. Little bit of contact between the two of them again. Chris goes to the outside line. He's not particularly pleased with this as Adam Thompson now 3 wide briefly as Andy Laister goes down the inside as everyone flies their way through. Chrissy Harding involved as well. She makes some positions. Andy Laister ahead of Adam Thompson, ahead of the number 12 car. Then it's Chrissy Harding. Chris O'Connell losing a couple of positions on this lap then as Ryan Pratley turns his attention to looking at Miles Harding down into the final few corners, the sector 3 here at Buckmore, and actually Miles Harding doing a remarkable job of holding on to this position. Yes, he's fallen down to 10th spot, but he's still in 10th spot as they make their way through Cafe Curve. Ryan Pratley is all over the back of Miles Harding, and in that slipstream we'll see what he can do down into Conway's turn 1 here at Buckmore Park. He looks to the outside line. Ryan's going to go to the inside. It's a bit of a dummy move, but Miles Harding has him covered. Chris O'Connell down the inside as well. He gains a position.
Ryan Pratley, he's now at the inside of Miles, so he managed to get the undercut on him coming through turn number 2, and Ryan Pratley's managed to make his way through as now Miles Harding sinking down the hill a little bit here. He's got Andy Laister on his inside, but he's managed to hold on to 11th place here, so Andy is now tucking in behind Miles Harding in 12th place. We've got a whole train of carts here, as you can see, running on board with Chris O'Connell. Now as we cut over to the drone shot, you can see this whole train of carts filing their way through Pullmans. Is anyone going to go for a move here? Down into paddock it is. Chris O'Connell up the inside then of Billy Good, going for the move. Billy, can he get the undercut? Going up to Gunner? No, he can't, as he's also got a cut behind him, as you can see from this fantastic drone footage provided by Roderick Navarro. So this is a great battle here as they file their way up the hill. As you say, Matt Putland, he's in the lead of the race, now pulled a 2-second gap over Lewis Jolley, with Ross Sandwell right behind Lewis in third place. These three have all broken away as Andy Laister was then looking at the inside of Miles Harding going into turn number 1. Adam Thompson, he's now looking at the back of Andy Laister as they head down into hairpin 1, but not able to make his way past. Miles now goes defensive into hairpin 2, and it looks like they managed to settle into position for the time being.
It's only a 1/10 of a second at the lead of the race. The entire field separated by 26 seconds at this point in the race. There is not a lot in it at all, and well, Miles Harding loses the position to Andy Laister, then Adam Thompson, and now Chris O'Connell looks to make his way up as well into the final couple of corners here. Now Cafe Curve, Chris O'Connell on the outside line will get the move ahead of Miles Harding, who is sinking a little bit in this race, and you have to feel for him because he hasn't done much wrong defensively. It's just such a difficult circuit to overtake on. Considering we were at Tamworth last round, where overtaking is very tricky, this is the total opposite of that. We've got 30 seconds on the clock. We're into the final lap, if not the final 2 laps of this one, and it's a shame trying to pick up our leaders here, Luke, because there's still only 0.3 of a second in that battle.
Yeah, unfortunately no one boards with those leaders, but yeah, they are having a great scrap, as you can see from the time. You can see them just going for the top of shot there, so it looks like they have spread out a little bit actually. So it looks like Matt's pulled a gap then on Lewis, and Lewis has managed to pull away from Ross. As yeah, like we say, we're just coming in to the final lap of the race here. You can see the drivers filing their way through Garda. I believe that's Henry Walter looking at the back of Barney Williams in the battle for 8th position, as Andy Laister is now defending against Adam Thompson. This is great footage here as they head up the hill. Andy Laister in 11th place ahead of Adam, with Chris O'Connell, Billy Good and Miles Harding all in that pack. We've also then got Miles' wife Chrissy just behind them, as Adam Thompson now looking at the inside of Andy Laister going into hairpin 1. Adam, can he make his way through? He can indeed. Good move there by Adam Thompson on the final lap of the race as Andy gets the cut back here, but he's on the outside for hairpin 2, not quite able to make that work as we now are coming up to the finish line for the end of the race.
So it is heading into the final lap of the race. There's confirmation on the board on the left-hand side into turn 1, and it is going to be Matt Putland, by the looks of things, who's going to take victory here. There's a little bit of a gap in between himself and the car just behind Chris O'Connell, still battling with Andy Laister. Andy back on the inside line as they make their way onto the straight for the final time. We have the checkered flag. Chris O'Connell loses that position, so Andy Laister makes his way through. We have the checkered flag. Miles Harding has been overtaken by Chrissy, I believe, at the line. She has. He finishes in 16th position. An entertaining race then to kick things off this afternoon, and Matt Putland takes victory and promotion into Split 2. He'll be delighted with that. 1.6 seconds his victory ahead of Lewis Jolley, with Ross Sandwell in 3rd position. The rest of your top 3. Kieran Hyde-Moody is in 4th position, with Brad Whitehouse in 5th for Connecticut Racing. Not a bad start for him in the EKS. Aidan Weller is one of our super heavyweights. He's in 6th position. Barney Williams in 7th. Virtus Racing with Henry Walter in 8th. Ryan Prattley and Raj Kular are the rest of the top 10. Not a bad result for those two drivers, climbing up a little bit inside of this split. Adam Thompson is in 11th position, with Andy Laister in 12th. Chris O'Connell, Billy Good and Chrissy Harding the rest of your top 15. I'm afraid to say it's a bit of a race to forget for Miles Harding, who falls down the order a little bit, struggling to defend around a very difficult circuit. However, he showed some pretty good pace in this one and will be hoping to climb up in the next couple of races. Hugh Moreton is in a 17th position, with Troy Fraser, McGonigal the rest of your top 18. Only a couple of penalties to speak of. Chrissy Harding got a contact warning, as well as Barney Williams track limit. Andy Laister another 1-point deduction, with Raj Kula a bump and pass, which will be a 5-second penalty, demoting her somewhat in this race.
Okay, I'm here with both Matt Putland and Lewis Jolley. That was a fantastic race there. It was a bit of a great battle at the start. Then I met Matt. You did a great job pulling up at the end. But yeah, how did your races go?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good start, and I mean, managed to get ahead of Matt to begin with, but yeah, I made a mistake, I think down the bottom somewhere, and he just managed to out-drag me then back up to the top, and after that he was kind of just pulling the gap because I was having to defend from whoever was in P3, and we had quite a good battle for a number of laps in that race, but then towards the end he made a couple of mistakes and dropped back, and yeah, that's about it really. It was all right, not too bad.
And Matt, how did it go from your perspective?
Yeah, not too bad. Qualified first, but then I got overtaken on, I think it was like the 3rd lap, just getting used to the kart. So I stayed behind for a couple of laps just to see where he was stronger than me and where I was going wrong. And then, yeah, once I managed to get in front, I think he got caught up in a battle behind, and I just managed to push forwards from there, really. So, yeah, it was good.
Yeah, you're both flying, both did 49 nights. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.